Beyond symptoms. Why clinical definitions of eating disorder recovery fall short for decades, the medical community has relied on a narrow checklist to determine if someone has recovered from an eating disorder. The criteria are strict: the cessation of binging and purging, the restoration of a healthy weight, and the absence of disordered behaviors. If you meet these benchmarks, you are clinically recovered. But for many patients, this definition feels hollow. A growing body of peer-reviewed research suggests a significant disconnect between what clinicians measure and what patients actually experience. While symptom remission is important, it may be only one piece of a much larger puzzle. True recovery, according to recent studies, is a multidimensional process involving psychological healing, identity restoration, and social reconnection elements that current diagnostic frameworks often overlook. The gap between data and lived experience, two recent studies highlight this disparity from different angles. One survey examined how adults with lived experience rated their own recovery compared to strict clinical criteria. A separate meta-analysis of qualitative research explored what individuals themselves consider fundamental to healing. The findings reveal a consistent theme. Traditional symptom-based definitions miss the psychological and social dimensions that matter most to patients. In the survey study, more than half of the participants reported feeling personally recovered, even though only a minority met the rigid clinical criteria. This is not a case of denial. Rather, it suggests that many people experience meaningful, life-changing progress that current diagnostic tools fail to capture. What recovery actually looks like when patients describe their recovery, they rarely focus solely on the absence of symptoms. Instead, they point to broader, more profound shifts in their lives. The systematic review identified 4 key pillars that individuals consider central to healing: self-acceptance and reduced body distress, moving from a state of constant conflict with one's body to a place of peace and acceptance; restoration of identity, reconnecting with who they are beyond the eating disorder, reclaiming interests and values that were suppressed; greater autonomy and emotional resilience, making choices from a place of strength and self-awareness rather than compulsion or fear; improved relationships and quality of life, rebuilding connections that may have been strained by the disorder and re-engaging with life. Recovery, therefore, emerges as a subjective and holistic process. It does not always align neatly with clinical thresholds, which can be binary: you either have the disorder or you don't. The danger of narrow definitions: this research does not suggest that symptom remission is irrelevant. Reducing harmful behaviors remains a critical component of safety and health. However, relying too heavily on narrow diagnostic criteria can lead to misclassification. Consider 2 scenarios. A person no longer meets the technical definition of an eating disorder, but continues to struggle with intense body image distress. Clinically, they might be labeled recovered, despite ongoing psychological suffering. A person has rebuilt their sense of self, improved their relationships, and gained emotional resilience, but occasionally experiences lingering symptoms. Clinically, they might be viewed as not recovered, despite having achieved a high quality of life and functional wellness. Current frameworks may underestimate true recovery or misclassify progress because they prioritize observable behaviors over internal states. A holistic approach to healing for clinicians, these findings point toward the need for a more holistic assessment. Treatment plans should track psychological and relational well-being alongside behavioral changes. For individuals navigating recovery, this research offers validation. Progress is not a one-size-fits-all metric. It is helpful to reflect on broader questions that capture the essence of healing. Do I feel more balanced in my daily life than I did before? Have my relationships improved or deepened? Do I feel I have more autonomy over my choices and emotions? Has my overall quality of life improved? Honoring these markers alongside symptom changes supports a more compassionate and accurate approach to recovery. As always, working with a professional experienced in eating disorders can help navigate this complex journey, ensuring that both safety and holistic well-being are prioritized. The bottom line: eating disorder recovery is more than the absence of symptoms. Self-acceptance, identity, autonomy, and improved relationships are central to how people experience healing. If you are in recovery, your lived experience of progress is valid, even if it doesn't perfectly align with clinical checklists.